and welcome to TelecomTV. My name is Martin Warwick. We're here in San Francisco in California at IDF, the Intent Developers Forum 2015, and I'm talking with Amit Jain, who is VP of Marketing and Product Management at SpiderCloud. Amit, thanks for coming in. Good to meet you.
A pleasure, Martin.
We've had having a good chat off camera. We'll do the stuff again now on camera. I want to talk about mobile networks within the sort of confines of NFV for a start, if we could. What we've seen over the past years, months, is accelerating quickly, is that more and more mobile network usage is actually being consumed indoors. Now, I know you have this idea that the right way to build a network is from the inside out. Sounds interesting. Can you explain it?
Sure. So as you mentioned, over 70% of the usage right now is happening indoors. It's happening and especially the big capacity problem is in big cities. It's not happening in rural America. It's happening here in San Francisco. If you look around, there are huge high-rise buildings. And when you're inside these buildings, you don't get coverage. At the same time, carriers are spending millions and millions of dollars trying to build a network from the outside, somehow trying to penetrate these buildings, and it's not working. And our approach, the SpiderCloud approach, is that you can build these scalable small cell systems. You can have small cells that deploy just like Wi-Fi. You build them, you kind of deploy them inside the building over the Ethernet LAN. And you can provide multiple sectors, like hundreds of sectors of capacity inside a single building. So we think once you do that, then you provide a great user experience inside, you offload the macro network, and thereby provide a better user experience outside as well.
Okay, right. That's a compelling case. What about the enterprises themselves? What do they make of this? The enterprises are remorselessly sold to. You know, buy this, the latest gizmo, the next big thing, increase your bandwidth, etc., etc. What evidence is there that enterprises will be willing to go down this small cell route? What are the parameters that they're looking at?
Yes, so we actually did a recent survey of the enterprise. We had a research firm, Ian Gillett Research, IGR Research, go and talk to hundreds of enterprises. And actually around 70% of them are interested in looking at how they can get an indoor enterprise small cell system. Because mobile is now central to the way we all do business. We expect our devices to work wherever we are all the time, and especially at business. So the feedback that we get from the enterprise is that if there is a way for them to get a reasonably priced solution that is easy to deploy in the enterprise environment, doesn't require them to do completely new cabling, pull out their ceilings, do all kinds of crazy things. If it deploys just like the equipment they have today, they're willing to actually pay for it.
That's interesting. When you say they're paying for it, what are we talking about in terms of cost when we talk about enterprise? What size enterprises are we talking about, and what sort of costs are we talking about?
So we normally focus on enterprises that have more than a few hundred employees. So say medium to large businesses. I think that a lot of smaller businesses do get reasonable amount of coverage from just the outdoor network. But the big problem is, let's say, in office towers or hospitals, hotels, places of that nature. And what we are expecting is probably in the range of, say, 30 to 40 cents a square feet to cover, or probably maybe tens of dollars per subscriber to provide in-building capacity.
And when you have that capacity, what does it provide the enterprise with?
It provides them with practically any service that they would expect on the mobile network. So anything that works with the mobile network outside now works seamlessly inside, and in many cases better, because when you're outside and you try to, even today, even if you have an LTE device and you're on the street, like if you step out of this hotel in San Francisco, bring up your LTE device, try downloading a video. It might work, it might not work. But when you're on an in-building small cell network, that is basically a network dedicated to the employees who are working inside the building, they will get the capacity that they expect from LTE. They will get the voice quality that they expect from VoLTE or from 3G. So, so everything that they expect working in the way that it should.
So SpiderCloud is helping to solve this capacity crisis, network capacity crisis, that we've seen growing within the mobile networks over the past years. It doesn't show any sign of stopping in terms of outdoors anyway.
Not anytime soon, no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to a bit more of the nitty-gritty of it then, I mean, which is how does it work? What does your SpiderCloud solution do? we were speaking again off camera about mobile edge computing and moving the intelligence out to the edge of the network and so on. So talk to us about that. And where does a small cell, how does this play into the small cell market?
Sure. So SpiderCloud builds what we call a scalable small cell system. Our system includes small cells that look just like Wi-Fi access points, but now implement UMTS and LTE, the two main cellular technologies used around the world. And then all the small cells that we have inside the building connect to a small cell controller. Now, the small cell controller aggregates all these access points and solves all the mobility and interference issues and provides performance. But then it also has an inbuilt mobile edge computing platform. So this gives us the ability to deploy applications that matter to the enterprise right at the edge of the mobile network, special enterprise applications. I'll give you an example of something that we are doing with Intel. So we collaborate with Intel Security, and Intel Security has taken their firewall product and virtualized it. So we are able to now take this virtualized firewall and run it on the SpiderCloud small cell controller. It's called the SpiderCloud Services node. So we can run the Intel application there. And with this firewall, the enterprise can apply the same policies that they use for rest of their Ethernet LAN on the cellular traffic. So let's say you have an enterprise and you decided that for liability reasons, you don't believe that people should be doing gambling at work. Or it's fun, but still nothing you do it at home, not at the office. Yep. You shouldn't be shopping at work. You shouldn't be posting confidential information on Twitter to increase your viewership or whatever. Now you apply all, and as an enterprise IT guy, you have the means to apply these policies on the Wi-Fi network. But your employee comes in, turns off Wi-Fi, is on LTE, and is doing whatever they want to. With the virtualized firewall running on the SpiderCloud controller, you can apply exactly the same policies now on the cellular traffic. So this is one example. We have other partners who have done other applications like location-based services, content caching. So a wide range of things that can be done, which are through mobile edge computing, which are specific to enterprises or specific venues.
You mentioned the key word there, Amit, which is virtualization. We're here at the IDF. There's a lot of emphasis, as you would expect, on networks, functions, virtualization. It applies equally in mobile as it does to the fixed network, as we're well aware. Another thing that characterizes the development of NFV, its acceleration and its commercial deployment from, we talked about the technology, the proof of concepts and so on, is this phenomenon of collaboration, companies collaborating one with another, often with what have been bitter rivals in the past and certainly competitors, and the best will in the world, and they have these long and deep relationships now, particularly with reference to virtualization. Is that what's happening with you? You bring something to your partnership with Intel which Intel doesn't have. Well, how does that dynamic work, and will it continue?
I think virtualization really opens the way to partnerships. So I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, when we started building our mobile edge computing product, and this is before the kind of trend towards virtualization took off. The approach that we were offering in the market was that different companies, let's say a firewall company, could build a firewall blade as a piece of hardware, and we would insert their blade inside we would integrate that blade inside our controller. And you can imagine how limited that was. So if you had to work with 5 different partners, they all had to come with 5 different blades, and it's almost a non-starter from the perspective of the enterprise and the operator. Today we have moved to a point that we have a virtualized platform for running third-party applications. So now if you're a firewall vendor, you basically build your firewall as a VM, you can run it on our platform. If you are a location-based services vendor, you build your location estimation engine, you can run it as a VM side by side with the firewall, sharing hardware resources. So it has really expanded the set of things that we can do. It has opened up a space for a lot of partnerships that SpiderCloud is engaged with some of the largest software players and enterprise computing players in the market. So we think it's a wonderful thing.
Well, I must say that was very, very interesting. Amit, Jain, thank you very much indeed.
Martin, a pleasure.